Hi guys, Grand J here, and welcome to our next Final Fantasy Opus II set preview and card discussion. Today we'll be discussing the Earth cards from Opus 2. So let's get started. So actually, before I get started, big shout out to guys who were able to get all the images of all the German cards and put translations out there. I put a link to their work directly below. Big thanks to those guys. If it weren't for those guys, I wouldn't be able to make this video. So cheers. Thank you very much for your hard work, guys. And yeah, appreciate it. So let's get started. So, first card for Earth is Dark Knight. Standard unit for 4 costs at 5,000 power. So it's below the curve. But Dark Knight says for each point of damage you receive, Dark Knight gets 1,000 power. So this can range anywhere between +0 to +6. If you're like usually around the mid game, you may be around three or 4 points of damage. So you could be looking at something like 8 or 9,000. I don't think this card is as good as 2 costs Dark Knight, because 2 costs Dark Knight, 2 costs Dark Knight has 3,000 power and gets up to like 7 or 8. I feel that 4 cost Dark Knight, you're already paying too much, and you're only getting on parity what you're supposed to get with a 4 cost after 3 damage. And at 4 or 5 damage, you're only like receiving a little bit of extra benefit to just playing a vanilla 4. I don't think this will really see any play, even in the Warrior of Light standard unit deck. I just don't think you're getting enough value for this card for its cost, and like 4 cost slot is really hotly contested. So yeah, this won't really see play. Yeah, it'll certainly be decent in sealed, but yeah, won't see play in constructed. Next card, Warrior of Antiquity. So it's 5,000 power for free, which is below curve again, but it's got the same power of, for every point of damage you receive, Warrior of Antiquity gets 1,000 power. This, I think this is a much better zone to be in. So it's 2,000 below the expected number for free cost, so it's like 2,000 below the expected 7,000. But like, yeah, at free damage, it's 8,000, which is like, it means it's bigger than curve already. 4 or 5 damage is it's a bonus. Unfortunately, the downside is if you receive 6 points of damage, then put Warrior of Antiquity into a break zone. So if you do receive that 6 damage, he dies, or if you have 6 damage, then like Warrior of Antiquity just like put himself in the break zone. This will definitely see more play than Dark Knight. This will probably see play in the Mannequin deck, but it's not super impressive. Obviously, it'll be pretty solid and sealed, and like, I'd value it reasonably average on steel. It's not a bad free drop. So yeah, solid. Next card, Ingus. 4 cost Earth forward, and it's a Warrior of Light. At 8,000 power, it's standard. When Ingus enters the field, you may play a standard unit forward of cost 2 or less from your hand onto the field. I don't think this will see play even in the standard unit deck. Yeah, so basically it just gives you a 2 cost discount on a 2 cost unit. It's not that hard. Just play the 2 cost unit anyways. This doesn't really benefit you for playing like the standard units. Yeah, you much rather just like have cards that can buff up your standard units and just straight up play your standard unit cards. This won't see play even in the like Warrior of Light deck, I don't think. Next card is Vanille. 6 cost, 8,000 power, so it's significantly below curve. But when it comes into play, you may play an Earth forward cost 4 from your hand onto the field. So effectively, what it means is you're getting basically two 4 cost cards for 6. So you get a 2 cost like 2 CP discount on playing like 2 4 cost dudes. Vanille doesn't have any abilities besides from just playing a Earth 4 cost from your hand for free. So I don't really feel that it doesn't justify it. Plus, it's weak against like order hate against like 5 or higher type forwards. So yeah, so this won't see play. And there's not enough reason to play Vanille. Straight up. Next card is Vincent. So the first legend for Earth, and this card is a very, very like interesting card. It's actually pretty interesting how good like recently like all the Vincent cards have been. So the promo of Vincent, it looks solid, and this Vincent looks very good. So Vincent, 4 cost forward, 8,000 power, so that's standard. Vincent cannot be broken by opponent's summons ability. So straight up, abilities that just like say break a dude won't break him. I believe he still receives damage from summons. So if a summon such as like say Bahamut or Brynhilde puts him over the edge, and he'll still die because he's dying from a game mechanic as opposed to being broken by summon. So I believe that's the case. But still very much like he's like effectively immune to stuff like Odin. Stuff like Odin and like Cloud or like Gilgamesh abilities. So so that's already pretty solid, right? But on top of that, he's also got an S ability, which is pay 5, dull him, and choose any number of forwards with a combined cost of 7 or less, break him. So obviously this is like really good against like a whole bunch of sort of weenie decks. You can take out like a 3 and a 4, or like a whole bunch of 2s or whatnot. Or you can just like, if you really need to, you can kill a 5, kill a 6, kill a 7. So this card is strong. It'll see play. I don't see any reason not to see play. It won't see play. The only bad side is that there's a lot of good Vincents. So I think the free cost first strike Vincent, I think that's underrated. The promo Vincent, he looks solid. So like the only downside to this Vincent is that there's quite a few good Vincents, but I think that this is the best Vincent, and you got plenty of other options in regards to which Vincent you want to discard for its S ability. So I think that this might be like the new Cloud. I think this might be the new Cloud of this set. So definitely pick up as many copies as this can early on while it's still cheap, and people don't really know like this value, because this card's value is going to just skyrocket up there. Next card is Vincent again, 4 cost Earth Forward, 9,000 power this time. This Vincent says when Vincent blocks or attacks, you may pay 2 CP. If you don't pay 2 CP, Vincent breaks after the attack or block and doesn't deal any damage. So obviously it means that if you're going to attack or block with this guy, you want to be paying the 2 CP, otherwise it doesn't deal damage. He can still chump block, so if you don't have the way to pay 2 CP, you can still block a guy. Like Vincent doesn't deal damage to who he's like in combat with, and then Vincent dies. So he can still block a guy, even if you don't have 2 CP, but obviously you don't really want to be in a situation where that happens. His secondary ability is when Vincent attacks or blocks, choose one for deal 4,000 damage, which is a reasonable amount of damage. It's definitely like no 5,000 or 6,000, but like 4,000 is solid. So in a lot of cases, this Vincent will just be able to like destroy anything that blocks it or whatever it's blocking. And for 4 cost 9,000 power, it's already above curve. So this can see play. This can see play, but it's going to be really hard for this to take slots over the other Vincent. You might put him in a deck, so you've got him as an option, and so you got him as an option, and you can like, if you don't want to play him, you can just always discard him for like the other Vincent's death penalty ability. I don't think it's as good, but I think its cost is quite severe as well. Like if you consider the fact that if your opponent's like willing to chump like 2 or 3 guys into it, like it's really hard for you to like continue the Vincent upkeep cost. So I don't think this Vincent will see play, but primarily more for its like ability to discard S abilities. So next card is Ormi. So I actually love this next trio of cards. I think that it's going to be a fun deck to build. So Omi is a 2 cost Earth Forward that has 5,000 power, so it's average. And its ability is card name Logos and card name LeBlanc you control gain plus 2,000 power. So this Logos, LeBlanc, Omi trio, they all sort of buff each other up. And at 2 for 5, it's already like standard. Like it's not a 6,000 power, but it's standard, so it's pretty solid already. And it's only going to get better when you have Logos and LeBlanc on the field. So, next card is Carbuncle. Carbuncle? Yeah, Carbuncle. 3 cost Earth Summon. Choose a summon targeting a character you control, cancel its effect. So it's basically negate a summon that's choosing a character you control. So, like, this is the second instance, I believe, that we have a card that can cancel or negate a summon. This is certainly more of a control card. It can't block EXs, but still like it's solid. And so definitely more of a control card. So if you want to protect certain backups that your opponent might be trying to deal with, or like certain nukes that your opponents are throwing at you guys, then this is there. At most, I think it'll probably be a 2-of in those decks that do decide to run it. But in the right decks, you'll run like 2 copies of it. So next card is Gabranth, and this is the second legendary for Earth. I don't think this is as good as other people seem to think it is. yeah, I don't think that this is as good as other people think it is. So it's a 7 cost Earth forward that has 9,000 power. So that's overcosted for what it is, but its ability is it costs 1 less for each each point of damage you've received. So like this can put it down to like effectively 1 cost if you've received 6 damage. And its ability and secondary ability is if you received 6 points of damage or more, your forwards have Brave. Your forwards gain Brave. So obviously, its effect is super relevant when you have 6 points of damage. But I don't really like I certainly wouldn't want to build a strategy around that. I certainly wouldn't want to build a strategy where you want to sit on 6 points damage and just like go in with your Brave characters, because there's so many ways to just like deal with forwards, and then rush in with a forward for that 1 point of damage. Like if your opponent's able to like freeze and dull your guys and just like rush in like one forward that's been sitting there, or just play Onion Knight or play any sort of haste character, it's very possible for you just straight up lose. So you certainly don't want to be sitting on 6 points of damage. You have to play extremely conservative when you're on 6 points of damage. I would not want to be in a situation where I play this card. Yeah, it's great if you've received like say 4 damage, then all of a sudden it goes down to like say 3 cost 9,000. So that's pretty solid. But like I feel that like it's kind of too situational. It's just like in that sort of situation, you probably just want to play a Warrior of Antiquity. Like for like the same 3 or 4 costs, you're getting a guy that's already a solid body already. Gabranth only really becomes more efficient, like significantly more efficient when you've taken a lot of damage. And I think the situationalness of the secondary ability is something that you don't want to rely upon. It's a nice little bonus if you're in that situation, but you don't want to rely upon it. So I would not want to build a deck that relies upon you being in that situation. So next card is Ranger, 2 cost Earth backup. Pay 1 Earth, dull it, choose 1 Earth forward against 1,000 power until the end of turn. I think it's fine. So it's basically kind of just like fills a similar role to say Monk or Blackbeard. You've got a backup that costs 2, and you can use this ability to just give a guy a buff. So you can just like chuck it into any Earth deck that you play, and it's going to be relevant at some point. It just gives you options. It makes it very much more difficult for your opponent to deal with you in specific situations. So if you have say like a Ranger, if you have a Black Belt and a Monk, all of them just like 2 cost backups. If you have them available, it makes it extremely difficult for your opponent to block. It makes it extremely difficult for your opponent to attack, to throw nukes, because you can like adjust the power of your guys at a reasonably efficient cost. So, and yeah, this card's reusable. So yeah, you can like, depending on like the type of Earth deck, you can like chuck 2 of these in, and like this like you don't really lose anything. It's a 2 cost backup. You can chuck it down, and this is what I like from my 2 cost backups. I want my 2 cost backups to come in efficiently, sit there, and at some point, if their effect is relevant, then I can activate them for a bonus. So that's what I like about Ranger. You'll see play. Next card is Machinist, 2 costs backup. Pay 2 Earth, pay 2 CP, dull put Machinist into the break zone, choose 1 dull forward of cost 4 or less, break it. So it is a sort of instant speed Mustadio in a way. So it costs 2, and then you pay like effectively another 5 CP, so like 2 Earth CP, 2 any color CP, and then dull and put Machinist in the break zone to choose 1 dull forward of cost 4 or less, break it. I don't like, so like if you look at it from on paper, Mustadio is stronger, in the sense that Mustadio is significantly cheaper. So Mustadio is like straight up just like 5 costs in, blow dude up. But this is, you have to pay 2 to put it in, and you have to have it ready. So you have to have it active in order to use its ability, in order to break a dull dude of 4 or less. So it does have instant speed, which means that it does give you a little bit more flexibility. At most, this card might see like 1 or 2. It doesn't have an EX break either, so that's another way in which it's worse than Mustadio. Probably 1 or 2 copies, depending on your Mustadio numbers, and you just want to have extra removal. The fact that it's limited to 4 or less is also a little bit painful as well. So it's really on the fence. Like it'd be one of those situations where you're like, I'm trying to squeeze in an extra 2 cost Earth backup, and I'm not sure what to put in. This potentially might be that 49th card or that 50th card. So next card is Logos. So Logos is a 3 cost Earth forward, and it's a part of the Logos, Omi, and LeBlanc trio. So this is the same effect as effectively the same effect as Omi. So cards, card name Omi and card name LeBlanc gain plus 2,000 power. So when you think about it, Omi and Logos, they both buff each other for 2,000. So if you have both of them on the field, Omi goes up to 7, Logos goes up to 9. So that's like that's already like super cost efficient. And LeBlanc is getting plus 4,000 power. So obviously, yeah, like we'll get to LeBlanc a little bit later, but I think that this trio is going to be a really fun deck that you can play at tier 1.5. So yeah, next card is Scarmiglione. It's an elemental archfiend, 2 cost Earth forward, 5,000 power. It says right now rear attack as its keyword, which I believe from what the flavor from what the reminder text says, it basically, from what I understand, says instant speed. So it basically means you can play it during your opponent's turn or like possibly on stack. So it's just like it's 2 cost 5,000 dude that you can play instantly. This makes you play. I can see this interestingly as a tech for certain things like say snow. So like if your opponent's attacking with like a 1 cost snow and Dole's your only guy, then you can just like flash this guy in, play him in, and then block it. At 5,000 power, I think it's the fact that you can just like chump block him or just like put him in as a last minute dude, last second dude. I think he'll see play, but like only to tech in certain matchups. Obviously, he'll see play in the Golbez deck. So yeah, obviously when I'm talking about all these elemental archfiends, they're always going to see play in the Golbez deck because you want to like reduce the Golbez cost. But yeah, so I don't think this card's. Yeah, I think this card will see like specific tech situationality. Yep. Next card is Sorbet. So Sorbet is a part of the whole Moogle set of cards that like buff depending on how many Moogles you have. So 2 cost Earth backup. Pay 2, dull it, choose 1 blocking forward. For each Moogle you control gains a plus 1,000 to an end turn. I think this is overcosted. So yeah. So like first of all, it's just hard to get the Moogles in and like to get the rainbow set of Moogles. And you have to pay 2 Earth and dull it to give plus 1,000 for, like depending on how many Moogles you control to a blocking dude. If it was to like just a forward in general, then I could potentially see this seeing more play. But against for a blocking dude only, it's kind of too situational and it's like really hard to build it up, and you kind of like the payoff isn't really there, you know. You can't even splash it as just like a random like 2 cost Earth backup because like effectively it says yeah, you're paying free CP to just give a blocking dude 1,000 power. So I don't think you can justify it by itself. You need the other Moogles to make it relevant. But then again, like plenty of other Moogles just sets yourself up to get screwed so hard. So I wouldn't play it. Next one is 1 cost card Earth is Hashmal, Bringer of Order. So this one is a very cool combo card and has some interesting effects attached to it. So name 1 job or element. Until the end of the turn, all forwards you control gain plus 1,000 power and the name job or element. So obviously, this is relevant for certain cards that like buff particular jobs. So let's say if you have Edge that buffs up ninjas or Warrior of Light that buffs up standard units, this just basically gives them all that job or element so they can all get buff from it. It means that cards like Warrior of Light will now give himself the standard unit buff, give himself plus 2,000 and first strike. So that's kind of like one cool little benefit you can attach to it. If you give them all the same element, it means that they can now party attack together. So cards that generally can't party attack together, they can now party attack. So that's another cool little thing. And yeah, all forwards get like plus 1,000 power. So it's very similar to Sylph in that way. Sometimes that 1,000 power will just slightly get you over the edge for combat or get you over a nuke. So this card's quite flexible, and but it's a card that's going to it's a card that's going to see a lot more play in sealed, because in sealed you're dealing with like whatever you can get, and sometimes these little synergies are going to help you out. And it'll see play in very specific combo decks. One thing I'm not 100% sure on is what happens if you name light or dark, okay? Because you can only have like one light forward, or like one light character on your side of the field at a time. If you name light, what does that mean? Does that mean like all your light guys but one die, or all your light guys die? Does that actually happen? So that's going to be an interesting question to ask. Yeah, that's an interesting question to ask. Like for one particular reason, because so the new water unit, when it attacks, it removes effects from all non-light, non-dark characters. So if you were to respond with this and make all you guys light or dark, yes, they don't lose like the abilities from Songstress Yuna, but do all you guys die because they're light and dark characters? So that's an interesting question to ask. But yeah, moving on. So 2 costs, Bagamnen. So it's an Earth, 2 costs Earth forward at 5,000 power, so it's standard. It cannot deal damage to your opponent. Opponent must block him if possible. So this is a guy that forces, so it just forces your opponents forward to block it, and in a way, it just kind of like deals 5,000. It's kind of like a situational 5,000 damage nuke. Obviously, this synergizes with Earth particularly well because Earth has a lot of benefits from entering combat and especially from being blocked. Actually, no, they get more advantages from being blocked. But still, you can increase its power using like a golem or something and just like force it to attack, and your opponent's forced to block it. So, interesting card. Interesting card. I don't know if we'll see much play. It's definitely going to be a fun card to slot in here or there. I'm not sold on it just yet. So next card is Monk. So yet another Monk backup. So this is 2 cost Monk backup. 2 Earth Dull. Put Monk into Break Zone. Choose one forward against plus 3,000 and Brave until the end of turn. I'm not sold on this card because so you're paying effectively free and you're putting the Monk into Break Zone to give a guy plus 3,000 and Brave. So it's really a really once-off ability. Of course, it does have like the flexibility of you can just give your guy plus 3,000 power at any time. But the Brave part of it, the Brave part of it is really hard to use. I feel that any time when you're giving a guy Brave, your opponent can always respond by nuking it, making it kind of irrelevant. So for example, like so many times when you activate Morphing Time on Gilgamesh, they just like Brynhilda it the moment that you activate the ability. And I think this might be the same way. So you might be in a situation where you activate it and you want to get the Brave, and your guy just dies before it like even really gets its ability, really gets the value out the Brave. I don't think it's just like another 2 cost backup, so you can just chuck it in on whatever. Sometimes it might be relevant, but Earth generally doesn't have too much issue with blocking or braving, so it's like at some point someone is going to have to sit down and like rate in their deck which like what are the like 2 cost backups for Earth that I want to play and which ones are slightly better than that ones. And if I were to sit down and do that, I think that this will probably be below average amongst the Earth 2 cost backups, but it's still playable. It's not bad, but it's probably lower than average. There's other ones that you want to play. That's all I'm saying. So next card is Yang. It's a 5 cost forward. It's a monk, 8,000 power, so it's slightly below curve. But then again, its ability is for each card named Monk and each job Monk other than Yang control, Yang gets plus 1,000 power. So this includes backups and forwards. So when you think about it, if you just have like a whole bunch of monks, and now there's like 2 monk backups right now. So there's the monk from Opus 1 and monk from Opus 2. So you can potentially just have like 5 monk backups potentially. And this Yang could be like plus 5 on 8,000. It could be like 13,000 power, right? So that's pretty cool. Plus like all these monks can all just like use their buff abilities to buff it up even higher if you ever really wanted to. So yeah, you can get good value out of it. If the power of Yang is 10,000 or more, Yang gains Brave. So that's pretty cool. You chuck a couple of monks down and Yang is just like braving for a huge amount of power. So if you were to run this Yang, you wouldn't even use you wouldn't use that monk I was talking about before. Like, you wouldn't activate its ability because like all of a sudden you lose 1 monk, so you're losing power and Yang has Brave already. So, this will be fun. I thematically really love these cards that are like kind of class leaders. So this set has a couple of class leaders. So Edge is like the ninja class leader, Yang seems to be the monk class leader, and Kane is the dragoon class leader. I think that's it. But like, yeah. So I really love like thematically how all these cards all come together. This will be a fun probably tier 2 deck. It'll be fun to play. It's cool. Just have fun with it, Ensealed will probably be pretty kick-ass, actually. Ensealed will probably be pretty kick-ass if you can get some, like, monks. But yeah, moving on. We have 2 cost Yang. 2 cost Yang is a monk, 5,000 power for 2. If you control a card named Monk or Job Monk other than Yang, Yang gets 2,000 power and Brave. So if you have a monk backup, which is super easy to do, it's 7,000 power brave for 2. That's solid, you know? And if your opponent tries to block it, you've got plenty of ways to buff your dudes up. This card's solid. We'll see sealed play. I'm not sure what sort of like earthy sort of like aggressive deck you can sort of build, but if you were to run like an aggressive earth deck, then like he'd be in there. So yeah, like it's fine. It's not it's not one of those standout cards that makes it a must play in earth, but you know, like if you were to play an earth deck that's like tier 1.5, you can like slot it in and not really feel bad because it's good value anyways. So yeah. So next card is a 2-cost earth card, Phantasmal Harlequin. So it's a backup for 2, and it's dull. Choose one job mannequin you control. It gains plus 2,000 power until the end of the turn. When it's put from the field into break zone, break all Phantasmal Harlequin you control. This is a strong card. So you dull it to give a mannequin plus 2,000 power. So that's one of the strongest buffs, like one of the most cost efficient strongest buffs right now on a backup. The only drawback to it is that if that particular mannequin breaks, then you lose Phantasmal Harlequin. But obviously, so as long as you're playing smart, if you're playing smart around it, then this card can just like constantly be giving guys good buffs and kind of makes up for the fact that all these mannequins are just feel slightly below where they should be. So yeah, if you're playing the mannequin deck, this is guaranteed, like definite free off. You have to play it. Yeah, definite free off. You have to play it. It's too good to not run free off. And like you run free copies because if shit goes wrong and the Phantasmal Harlequin breaks, at least you got like a second or third one that you can put into play. You know. Yep. So next card is Raubon. It's a 4-cost Earth backup. It's EX burst. When Raubon enters the field, choose one forward you control and one forward an opponent controls. The first one deals the second one damage equal to its power. So basically, it's like saying your forward deals its damage. It deals its power as damage to one of your opponent's forwards. Yeah, Earth obviously has some of the toughest, beefiest guys, and it's a piece of removal. So for 4 cost, you can just like kill one of your opponent's guys if you have a bigger guy. I think this might bump down Mustadio. So previously Mustadio would be like a 2-of, but I could probably replace one Mustadio with like 1 or 2 Raubon. This card's solid. Like usually with Earth, you generally have like a stronger field just because the dudes are like generally bigger and they're able to deal with combat a little bit better. So like this is usually not the case. It just like allows you to like kill a guy. So I think that this is particularly cost effective, cost 4, and it's got removal built into it. Although it is a little bit conditional, but like it's a condition that you can generally get over pretty easily with Earth. So this is definitely high priority play for Earth. Yep. So next card is Rydia. 3-cost Earth forward at 7,000 power. So that's standard. You may use Rydia's special ability by discarding an Earth summon instead of discarding a card named Rydia as a part of cost. So so it's an S ability that you can discard Earth summon instead of discarding a copy of herself to pay the S part of it, but you still have to pay the rest. So Gaia's Hammer, which is S, free Earth, dull it, deal 7,000 damage to all forwards of all elements except Earth. So this is a really big AOE damage ability, 7,000 to all opposing to all dudes except for Earth. So that's big AOE that can wipe out a lot of very strong dudes. Only the big beefy 8,000s or above are going to like live. It's conditional upon 2 things. One is that it doesn't affect Earth. It doesn't affect Earth characters. So if your opponent is playing Earth, and this card is going to like significantly lose its value. Also at the same time, it's only really relevant if you're running a mono Earth deck because you can hurt your own forwards as well if they're not Earth. Interesting thing though, like before we were talking about that Earth summon Hashmal that choose a job or element and they all become that element. So this potentially can be just a counterplay to that. So if your opponent somehow manages to activate Gaia's Hammer, you can just play Hashmal, make all you guys Earth, none of you guys take any damage. So but that's potentially a thing, both like defensively and offensively you can do it. I'm not sure if it will see play. Like if you're playing mono Earth and you don't have something that you can splash in that can help you with like AoE, then it's possibly fine. If you're playing, it's fine if you're playing mono Earth. And there's flexibility in that you can like discard an Earth summon in like say like Golem or Hecaton Care or Hashmal in this case. Yeah, Earth's got a lot of pretty good like summons, and yeah, this just gives you an extra bit of flexibility in that regard. The other Iridia is a 4-cost backup. EX burst when Iridia enters the field, choose one Earth summon from your break set, add it to your hand. So, obviously, like, yeah, if you're playing the previous Iridia, you can only have one Iridia on the field, so there's a little bit of clash there, but it's kind of cool how this card allows you to recur a summon. Unfortunately, it has to recur an Earth summon. Can't just be like a summon in general. If it could recur a summon in general, then it will see significantly more play. But as an Earth summon, its value is a little bit less because there's only really like 2 Earth summons that you really want to recur. Like one is Golem and the other one's Hecaton Care. Really, I don't think you'll see much play. Like Earth already has like a lot of really good backups, and like at most you put 1 in. If you could like you might decide to recur with stuff like Deleter and stuff. But yeah, so this will like narrowly see play depending on like what sort of deck and like whether Earth summons are focused or not. So it's situational, but it's relevant. And the final card, and it finishes the Ormi Logos LeBlanc trio, is LeBlanc. So LeBlanc is 8,000 power at 4 costs, so it's standard. It's got Brave, so that's great. Its ability is Dull. Put 1 Ormi or Logos into a break zone. LeBlanc can't be broken this turn. So, this is pretty cool in the fact that like LeBlanc is Brave. So obviously you've got 2 cards that buff her up, that buff her up and give her extra power. Having Brave is great, so it means you can use her both offensively and defensively. You can attack with her, and she's like 10,000 or 12,000 power, and then she can also block as well, which is really really good. At the same time, you can also like if things go wrong, you can like use Ormi or Logos to prevent LeBlanc from being broken this turn, not just that one instance from this turn in general. So this card, like obviously if you're gonna run any of those cards, you want to run all 3. I think this would be a fun deck to play. I'd like to try it out, to be honest. Yeah, I'd like to try it and see what it's like. Obviously you'd feel like you'd have to fill out the rest of the deck with some other stuff, but like I think that's a really cool deck to play, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to building that deck and seeing how it runs. But yeah, so that's all the Earth cards for Opus 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave some comments or leave some feedback or whatever. Just like put some stuff in the comments, so I'll take all your advice and all your criticism on board, and we'll see how we can improve, and we'll do more content. Thanks a lot, guys, and yeah, click a link somewhere on the screen somewhere, and yeah, if you want to check out the rest of the videos, go check them out. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Grand J out.